Hello, welcome to ECLAN 360. So far, in all the videos, we have discussed the classification of tissues, and in that, the epithelial tissues and connective tissues has been taken in details. From now on, we can learn about muscular system. The muscle tissues and nervous tissues will be taken in detail along with the system-wise discussions. So, in muscular system, I'm planning to do the muscles in an overview. That is, what are the different types of muscles, and then the physiology or the how these muscles work, and then the anatomy part. We will discuss about some of the important skeletal muscles in details. Today's video is more concerned about the types of muscles, the functions, and the properties of muscles. So muscular tissue or the muscular tissue consists of muscle cells called muscle fibers. They are muscle fibers which are arranged in a particular fashion to form muscles. And the muscles are of three types based on the structural and functional properties of these muscle fibers, how these muscle fibers are arranged, or the properties, the functional properties. So, according to that criteria, they are divided as skeletal muscles, cardiac muscles, and smooth muscles. Skeletal muscles, as the name suggests, they are attached to bones. The muscles, bones, tendons, joints, that is how these muscles are attached to the point of attachment or the point of insertion. All these things and the pattern in which the muscle contract, all these things contribute to the movement of our body, the locomotion part. Next property of skeletal muscle is that they are striated. So as I said, the muscles are formed of muscle fibers. So these all things will be discussed later in the next videos. But here I will just draw this. So the muscle fibers, they're arranged parallel to each other, and these muscle fibers, they have isotropic areas and anisotropic areas. That is based on that is a property of polarization. So they have isotropic areas and anisotropic areas. That is darker areas and lighter areas. So these are the darker areas, and in between is the lighter areas. So when these muscle fibers come together and are arranged as a bundle, how we feel? We feel it as striated. That is how it is called striated. Then next is voluntary. What do you mean by voluntary? Voluntary means we are conscious or we are aware of that movement. Now, if I want to move my hand, I know that is my brain is telling the muscle fibers of my hand to move. So that is a voluntary movement. So it is consciously controlled by the motor neurons of the somatic nervous system. So another thing you need to know that the nervous system is consisting of two parts, that is autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system, they are controlling all the involuntary activities of our body. While the somatic nervous system, they are controlling the motor neurons, they are controlling the voluntary movements or the voluntary skeletal muscle movements. Next is the skeletal muscles that involve in posture and stability. These are involuntary. So not all skeletal muscles are voluntary. Certain muscles which involve in posture and stability, such as in our neck, muscles in the neck and all, they are always in a contracted state. That is why we have that particular posture, that is erect posture, or the kyphosis, lordosis. All these are different types of postures in the human body. So these skeletal muscles are responsible for maintaining that posture. Now, if our certain muscles are not in a contracted state, we will not be having this stability. We will fall down. We will not be able to, we will not have a shape, or we will not have a particular position or a posture. So some muscles, they always have to be in a contracted state, while it opposite, that is antagonic muscles, they has to be in a relaxed state. So this alternate contraction, relaxation, all these things are responsible for the movement. And all the skeletal muscles comprises the muscular system of the body. Then coming to the cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles, here also the muscles are striated. That is, they are having this alternate dark and lighted areas. But here they are not in a single bundle, but they are branched like this. And they have one or two nuclei. So, and they are also having connection in between the fibers, and they are called intercalated disc. Intercalated disc. So all these things will give a different appearance for the cardiac muscle, and as the name suggests, it is only seen in the heart wall. And they are branched and they have intercalated disc, and the cell junctions which are giving the strength for that muscles are desmosomes. We have already discussed all these in the cell junctions videos. Then, unlike skeletal muscles, cardiac muscles are involuntary. Can we control our heartbeat? No. Even if we are sleeping, even if we are awake, now I want to raise my heartbeat to from 72 to 80. No, I cannot do that. Differently, I am getting tensed or I am doing an exercise. The body automatically will do all those things. Okay, so it is not under our control. The heart is functioning involuntarily. So they are controlled by the autonomic nervous system, by the neurotransmitters, hormones, etc. And how they are contraction and relaxing. In skeletal muscles, they need the somatic nervous system. They will be giving the initiation, or when a stimuli reaches our body. That is, we are seeing a dog chasing. Okay, so that is a stimuli. So, or that will be sensed by our nervous system, and the nervous system immediately will give that action potential, generate the action potential, and these action potentials will be reached to the brain, and the brain will initiate an action potential, which is transmitted through the motor neurons to the muscles, and the muscles. What is that order? To run. So that is the activity which is taking place in our body. So that initiation, the stimuli, responding to a stimuli through action potential, all these things happen in our body. The initiation of action potential, that is making the muscles to contract in case of somatic nervous system. While in case of cardiac muscles, it is by pacemaker. Pacemaker is a group of cardiac muscles. It has the ability to initiate the contraction. That is called autorhythmicity. So the pacemaker in the heart is also a group of muscle that is initiating or propagating electric impulse to start the contraction of the cardiac muscle. And this pacemaker in turn is controlled by the autonomic nervous system and hormones. Next is the smooth muscles. Smooth muscles, they are unstriated. That is, they are not having any striation. They look like a muscle spindle. They are spindle shaped. And they have a nuclei. And they are found in hollow internal structures. What are the hollow internal structures? Such as intestine. Oh, I'm not able to produce that nuclei. Okay, it's okay. So they are found on the walls of hollow internal structures such as stomach, intestines, uh, uterus, then blood vessels, etc. They are non-striated, they are smooth, they are also involuntary. We cannot control the movement of intestinal muscles. When we swallow the food and once it reaches the esophagus and stomach, we cannot control the movement of that food. It is all taking place without our conscious control. So that means they are controlled by the autonomic nervous system and the hormones. So these are the three classification of the muscles. Don't worry about action, potential, stimuli and all those things. We will study in detail when we go to the physiology of the movements, muscular movements in details. So just understand that muscles are divided into skeletal muscles, cardiac muscles and smooth muscles. Skeletal muscles are striated, cardiac muscles are striated, but they are branched and they have intercalated disc. Skeletal muscles are voluntary and some skeletal, except for a few skeletal muscles, but most of the skeletal muscles are voluntary. They are controlled by somatic nervous system, while cardiac muscles and smooth muscles are involuntary and they are controlled by autonomic nervous system. Cardiac muscles have a pacemaker which is responsible for the autorhythmicity. Smooth muscle cells for intestine, they have a pacemaker and the intestines are always moving in an rhythmic manner, slow rhythmic manner in order to aid the peristaltic movement. Otherwise, they are also involuntary, controlled by autonomic nervous system and hormones. Then next is the functions of the muscles. So the muscles contract and relax according to the action potential, the strength of action potential the muscle gets. The muscle fibers contract and relax. And through the sustained contraction and alternating relaxation, the muscle has four key functions, that is producing body movement, stabilizing body positions, storing and moving substances within the body, and generating heat. So as I said, the muscle fibers either they contract or they relax. The alternate contraction and relaxation is taking place when a movement is happening. And this movement occurs, that is, if we want to move from one position to another, muscles, bones, joints, all these things, tendons, all these organs, they have an active role in movement. So muscles also help in this. Then next is stabilizing the body positions or posture of our body. The posture of the body, how we will say when we sit erect. So erect posture, that is a posture. Then slumped posture or kyphosis, lordosis. These are all different postures of our body. So why this position is happening is that it stabilizes the muscle contraction, stabilizes the joints, and they help maintain the body position such as standing or sitting. In the same manner, postural muscles, they contract continuously when you are awake. For example, sustained contractions of your neck muscles hold your head upright. So this contraction, muscle contractions help in maintaining the body positions. Then storing and moving substances within the body. So this is accomplished by sustained contractions of ring-like or band-like structures, that is also smooth muscles, called sphincters. So we have heard of this word sphincter. For example, stomach. Stomach, the portion where the esophagus and the starting of that, this will have a sphincter and it's called cardiac sphincter. And here one sphincter between the duodenum and the stomach, that is called pyloric sphincter. So what these sphincters exactly do? That is, this cardiac sphincter will prevent the regurgitation of food from the stomach to the back to esophagus. It will prevent the reflux of food from the stomach back to the esophagus. And here the pyloric sphincter, it will open only after the digestive process of stomach is over. So the sphincter is helping that organ to store as well as allowing to control the movement of that particular substance in and out of that particular organ. So sphincters are also band like smooth muscles. And these are found in stomach, they are found in urinary bladder. And other type of contraction and relaxation of smooth muscles which occur in the walls of blood vessels. It results in the vasoconstriction, vasodilatation. These are all very important for maintaining our body processes. So that is another important function of muscles. Then generation of heat. So as muscle contracts, it use of the ATP is being used, and also a lot of heat is generated when this muscle is moving. That heat, that is thermogenesis, is used up by the body to maintain the body's temperature. Now, when we are in a cold climate, so we start to shiver. Why we are shivering? It is a homeostatic mechanism. That is, the body needs heat. When we are in a cold climate, our body is getting cold, so our body needs a warm temperature. Body has to maintain its temperature so that the metabolism or body function is going smoothly. So body needs heat. So what will the body do? The muscles, it will start to shiver. This shivering produces muscle movement. Muscle movement produces heat, and this heat will be used by our body to maintain the body temperature. So these are the functions of muscles in general. Next, we are going to see the properties of muscles. The properties of muscle, the first property is the ability of excitability or electrical excitability. Electrical excitability is the property of both neurons and muscle cells to respond to certain stimuli by producing action potentials. So when, as I have already discussed in the previous conversation, that is the stimuli, where it can be either an internal stimuli or it can be an external stimuli. The stimuli in the cell, we have ions like sodium ions, calcium, and potassium, and we have extracellular fluid. These are also having the concentration of sodium, calcium, and so the concentration of these ions on inside as well as in the extracellular fluid, this always maintain a potential or electric charge in our body. So when a stimuli occurs, there will be influx and efflux of these ions. And this will lead to a change in this potential, and it will cause a membrane potential. And then the stimuli is strong, that is strong enough to change this membrane potential to reach its threshold, it will become action potential. This action potential will initiate the neighboring cells of the neurons or the muscles, and this electric charge will get propagated. That means it will travel from the origin to the desired area. So usually when the stimuli occurs, the action potential will be created. It will reach the brain. The brain will give the action potential, and this action potential will travel to the muscles, and these muscles will be activated either directly by the action potential, electric potential, or by the chemical transmitters. These action potential will initiate her chemical transmitters to be released. So that will become chemical stimuli. Electrical stimuli will change to chemical stimuli. Anyway, these muscles will get activated. And the muscles, when these muscles get excited, that is electric excited, they will contract. So the first one is excitability. Excitability is the ability of the muscle fibers to respond to certain stimuli by producing electric current or action potential. So what happens when it get excited? It will get contract. It will contract. So the next property is contractility. So what is contractility? Contractility means the ability of the muscle to contract forcefully when it is stimulated. That is, it generates a tension or a force while pulling on its attachment point. So the muscle, it is Now, this is a muscle belly, the muscle fibers. So, when this electric stimuli reaches these muscles, it will contract. There will be a force will be generated, and that force, that is the pulling force, that will make the movement to occur. Okay, so that is called contractility. Then the third one is the so the third property is extensibility. That is after contractility, extensibility. That is, you see, imagine this heart. If this ventricle has to be get filled with blood, it has to stretch. Then only the blood can fill in this. Also, in case of urinary bladder, the urine has to get filled in the urinary bladder. So this urinary bladder has to stretch without getting damaged. So that property is called extensibility. Then next is elasticity. So once this muscle fiber is stretched, it has to come back to its original state. So that coming back to its original state, it is called elasticity. So these are the properties of muscles. That is, electrical excitability means when a stimuli or an electric stimuli, an action potential is reaching a muscle cell, it responds to that by contraction. So that ability is called excitability. Then contractility means the force or the tension that is produced in the muscle during a contraction, which is uh, which is making the movement to occur. That is called contractility. Then extensibility, the ability to stretch without damage. Elasticity means the ability to come back to its original position. So these are the properties of muscles. So in this overview, I have discussed about the classification, functions and properties of muscles. All these contractibility, the action potentials, membrane potential, the how the muscle contracts, the muscle fibers contracts, movement occurs, we will study in further videos. If we want the notes, I have given the PowerPoint presentation also. You can see at the end of this video. That is the types of muscles, the properties of skeletal muscles, cardiac muscles, smooth muscles, the functions and the properties. If you like this video, please do give a like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.